However, as I desperately tried to find the water's surface, I pleaded with him, "God, please help me. Please, please help me." That's when the darkness all around me, as I was submerged between the rocks, gave way to an incredible, dazzling light. The cold and pain ceased, and I seemed to zoom horizontally through a narrow tunnel. As this happened, unconditional love enveloped me completely. I exited the tunnel into a room formed from pure white clouds, and before me hovered 3 glorious beings. Each appeared as a shimmering translucent crystal, some 6 to 7 feet tall. As if sensing my distress, the beings transformed into familiar biblical angels, and light and love radiated from their iridescent eyes. For the first time in my life, I felt I belonged. It was a beautiful feeling. "You have arrived too soon," they told me. "You must go back and finish your work. But since you are here, we will show you some things." The angels then produced a book, from which snapshots of my life flashed rapidly by me. Then I saw my future, a man whose face I could not see, but I could clearly see that he had 2 children. The angel on the left spoke to me. "I am Yashael. I have been with you since the beginning, and I will be with you for eternity. You must go back. You have to be there for them," he explained. "But I don't want to," I cried. "I don't want to." What I was experiencing was just too beautiful. Then Yashael took my hand, and the 2 of us floated upward horizontally. Above us, a huge ball of warm light shone on everything, making me feel more loved and completely known by God than I had ever felt before, and I yearned to be close to God. Yashael then led me to a huge waterfall, where I sensed the presence of loved ones who had passed on. I saw an enormous tree whose leaves morphed into vibrant, iridescent birds, and I saw a lake so transparent that I could see people I loved on earth. I was amazed that I could see them, but I sensed the lake was a boundary between the heavenly and earthly realms. "You cannot cross the barrier," Yashael clearly said to me. "Please," I begged, "please, please let me stay." "When it is time, I will come for you," he said. Then I found myself at my grandparents' estate outside Vichy, France. Their house was at the top of a hill surrounded by wheat fields and stone walls dating back to the 4th century, and my favorite pastime when I visited them was picking wildflowers at their estate. I could wander for hours, lost in my own little world of picking flowers. The stalks were so tall and beautiful, they seemed to brush my shoulders. I remember the delicious dishes that my grandmother worked so hard to cook every day, and at night, I often got cuddled by her before I went to bed. Now, my heart broke when I saw my grandmother again. She looked lovingly at me, her granddaughter, and said, "You did very well," and she told me that she always followed me every step of the way. "You have been very brave on your recent journey," she said to me. "But this is not where you need to be," she said, and she gently kissed my forehead, and then she disappeared. I called out to her, but in vain. She simply told me, "Come back." Next, I got lost in a wonderful field of flowers, so fragrant, and butterflies so beautiful, all fluttering around me, and birds were chirping. Strangely, I found this place so familiar to me and close to my heart. I stretched out on the green grass under the magical light that I was experiencing. I felt like I was surrounded by loving rays of light, and I quietly remembered my past and my passions. That's when someone whispered in my ear, breaking my train of thought, and asked, "Why are you here?" I looked everywhere, but I could see no one. The voice asked again, "This is my house. Why are you here?" Then I was told, "You need to go back to learn the lesson of altruism and love." This experience of Laurie's reinforces to us that God's intention is that we show altruism and love in all that we do. He showed us this intention when the earth was created for us, and all things in it were made by Him for us. Genesis 1 verse 1 tells us that God created the heavens and the earth in the beginning. Now the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. What is sure, and what we hold to be true, is that God was there from the very beginning, the author of all things, and He was intentional about creating us as loving beings on this earth. Now, let us return to Lori. Lori continued with her near-death experience. After she was told by the voice that this is my house and that I needed to go back to learn the lesson of altruism and love, Lori says that she was taken to a room full of options. She explained, "I learned that here, in this room, children are able to choose the life they want, and that memories in heaven will be forgotten when they go to earth." I was really surprised by this, and I was surprised that they were all eager to experience life on earth, and that they are brought to earth as pure souls, and they begin their journey with a cry. At this moment, I suddenly remembered my mother. She gave birth to me, and she raised me. That day I left, she cried a lot. She hugged my father and cried because she was so worried for me. As I was experiencing this, God gently put His hand on my shoulder and said, "You need to go home." Then He put His hands on my shoulders and pushed me backwards. I fell at the speed of light, and my spirit wrestled back into my body. God's push freed me from the rocky crevice that held me underwater, and I floated to the surface, where I was pulled from the water and resuscitated.